Hello YouTube, Phil here again. Today I'm going to be reviewing Mars Attacks, The Art of the Movie. This of course is a book of the art from the film Mars Attacks by Warner Brothers Studios and director Tim Burton. This I think is a really great choice to review on this channel because one, it's by director Tim Burton, and whenever you look up any of his films there's an abundance of concept art which I absolutely love. And also the film was adapted from the trade card series and the mini comic book series, so when I got this I was really excited to kind of see how it's been adapted from the trade cards and the comic books into a film. So before I go on too long, I'm going to lay this book down and start flicking through some of the pages that I found interesting, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so here we go. Now the first things we come to when we open this book are some nice little piece of artwork here. Of course, Mars Attacks, Art of the Movie, a little Warner Brothers symbol there, just so we know who it's by. Now I really like these little art pieces at the beginning here, like this little Martian who's had his head blown up. Acknowledgements. Now the first thing I'm noticing about this text is how big and bold and easy to read it is. So, introduction. This basically talks about how Tim Burton actually came to direct this film, and basically other things he's been doing, like Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands. We know all these. So we'll just kind of skip past this bit. Now, here we come to some shots of Tim Burton, some of the different locations. And now some stills of some of the famous faces that appear in this film. Tom Jones, Danny DeVito. Of course, Jack Nicholson overshadowing everyone there, which is no surprise. Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan again. Now, this is the part of the book where it actually starts to get really interesting. Here we have a blown up image of one of the trade cards. And here we have a great little example of some of the trade cards which this film's been made from. I'll just zoom in a bit so you can see them a bit better. Now these were actually made in 1962, as it says there. Now moving on to the mini comic book series, and I really like how it's actually included all these little bits, because some of these books, where it's the art of the movie, where the movie's been adapted from, say, a comic book or something like that, they don't seem to reference the actual source material that much, or as much as I would like anyway. So I think that's quite good. Now we're coming to some little concept bits here. These are obviously some of the initial drawings for the Martians. Now these images here are absolutely great. These are obviously some concept images of attacks on different cities. I mean, straight away I really like how they've got the classic UFO shape going on, how this film really does feel like a film from the 1950s. Some more little concept bits of different Martian surfaces. And I like how you've got the concept bits here, and then here you've got actually one of the models are made of the actual surface. There we are, just get them in shots. Okay, so we're now moving on to Puppets from Mars. And the first thing in this whole section of the book is a detailed image of the actual armature of the puppets here, which I think is absolutely fascinating if you're interested in making puppets or just stop motion animation in general. Now, of course, there's a variation of puppets on this film. Some of them are much smaller, and some of them, like the heads, are to actual scale. Let's zoom out so you can see that. There we go, just there. Now I really like this. This book goes into, let's move this forward a bit, even more detail than I expected it to. For example, you've actually got one of the Martians here, and it actually shows the anatomy of the Martians, which I think is fantastic that they've actually included it in there. Some groups of puppets, or marionettes. Okay, some of the head puppets. Okay, so here we come to a section which seems to cover some of the alien technology seen in the film. Some blasters there, and some kind of alien hand. Here we have some of the concept images of the Martian surface. And over here some nice little images of inside the Martian ship. Now this bit is all about the scene in the film where Pierce Brosnan's character gets abducted. We have a nice little image of his head attached to some kind of machine here. And some more concept images of inside the ship. Now I've skipped forward in the book quite a few pages to the Martian girl section. Now this is the bit in the film where one of the Martians actually disguised itself as a female to get into the White House. Now, as you can see here, this idea was actually taken from one of the miniature comics. Try and get a good shot there. Some nice little scenes here of the reveal. Okay, I'll just skip forward again to this section, which shows some of the models made of some of the environments from the concept art, and some obviously of the 4-scale sets here. Yeah, again, all these sets are very stereotypical of 1950s and 1960s science fiction. Okay, now we're moving on to some of the costumes. I really like how this book goes into the costume design, because not many of these books tend to touch on it too much. Okay, I'm just going to finish off this this book with just looking at some of the inside parts of the ship. And here we have some nice little images and information about people who are actually making parts of the ship and parts of the aliens. Okay, so that's my review of this book almost complete. Yet again, sorry I couldn't actually include all the images in here, but with most of these books there are way too many images to actually go through the book entirely. Highly recommend it. I think it's done a really good job of not only showing the elements of the film itself, such as the marionettes and costumes, but obviously it's also gone into a lot of detail about the backgrounds, the sets, and also got a lot of the history of where this film actually comes from, which in some of these where it's a film made from something else, they don't really tend to touch on where the film has come from or feature the reference material that much. And I think it's really good that they've got all the cards in there and some different covers of the magazines. My only criticism would be in regards to the reference material. I maybe would like to see 1 or 2 pages from the actual comics in here. As I said, that's the only criticism I actually have of this book. Out of 5, I'll give it 4.5 out of 5. So thank you for joining me. As always, have a wonderful day no matter what you're doing, and I'll see you next time.